Part 1. First Contact and Deception. The vast expanse of space had always held secrets, but none quite as significant as the one about to unfold. In the year 2045, humanity stood on the precipice of a new era, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama about to engulf them. High above Earth's atmosphere, a sleek vessel of otherworldly design slipped silently into orbit. Its occupants, the Cautionary, were a species that prided themselves on their technological superiority and cunning. To them, the universe was a resource to be exploited, and they had perfected the art of doing so without detection. Commander Zixera stood on the bridge of the Cautionary ship, her iridescent scales shimmering under the soft blue light of the command consoles. Her large, multifaceted eyes scrutinized the blue and green orbs spinning below them. Another primitive world. She chittered to her second-in-command, Vexilor. Scan for valuable resources. Vexilor's appendages danced over the controls, and within moments, a holographic display materialized before them. It showed a dizzying array of elements and compounds, many of which pulsed with a bright, enticing glow. Commander, Vexilor's voice was tinged with excitement. This planet is a veritable treasure trove. Rare earth elements, fossil fuels, and something else. Something we've never encountered before. Zixera's antenna twitched with interest. Explain. There's an energy signature emanating from various points on the planet. It's unlike anything in our databases. It could be a new power source, potentially more efficient than our quantum cores. The commander's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. What of the dominant species? Another display flickered to life, showing images of humans going about their daily lives. Cities bustled with activity, vehicles crawled along highways, and satellites orbited the planet. Bipedal mammals, Vexilor reported. They call themselves humans. They've achieved spaceflight, but it's primitive. They've barely touched their own moon. Their technology is quaint. Zixera let out a sound that might have been a laugh. Hardly a challenge then. They won't even know we're here until it's too late. Prepare the harvesting drones. We'll start with their oceans and work our way inland. As the Cautionary set their plans in motion, life on Earth continued unchanged. In New York City, Dr. Samantha Chen hurried through the crowded streets, her mind focused on the upcoming presentation at the United Nations. As one of the world's leading climatologists, she had been tasked with delivering a report on the latest global environmental data. Samantha burst into the UN building, barely making it to the conference room on time. As she set up her presentation, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The latest satellite data had shown some anomalies in ocean temperatures and currents, but nothing that could be explained by current climate models. Dr. Chen, the moderator's voice, snapped her back to reality. We're ready for your presentation. Taking a deep breath, Samantha began. Distinguished delegates, what I'm about to show you defies our current understanding of climate change. Over the past month, we've detected rapid and inexplicable shifts in ocean temperatures and currents. The room filled with murmurs as she displayed charts and graphs. These changes are too sudden to be explained by global warming alone. We're seeing localized cold spots in tropical waters and warm currents where there should be none. It's as if something is deliberately manipulating our oceans. In the audience, Major Jake Harrison of the United States Space Force listened intently. He had been sent to gather information on any unusual global phenomena, and Dr. Chen's presentation was setting off alarm bells in his head. As the conference broke for lunch, Jake approached Samantha. Dr. Chen, Major Jake Harrison, U.S. Space Force. I was wondering if I could have a word with you about your findings. Samantha eyed him suspiciously. Space Force. What interest does the military have in oceanic anomalies? Jake lowered his voice. It's not just the oceans, Doctor. We've been tracking some unusual activity in low Earth orbit. Objects that appear and disappear from our radar. Unexplained energy signatures. Your ocean data might be connected. Before Samantha could respond, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her research partner, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, in Tokyo. Sam, You need to see this. Sending data now. It's not just the oceans. Something's happening on land too. As Samantha and Jake huddled over her phone, neither of them noticed the small metallic orb hovering just outside the window, its lens focused intently on them. Miles below the ocean surface, in the inky blackness of the Mariana Trench, something stirred. Cautionary harvesting drones, each the size of a small car, moved silently through the water. They were invisible to human sonar, their advanced cloaking technology masking their presence. The drones latched onto the ocean floor, extending probes deep into the Earth's crust. They began to extract rare Earth elements and other valuable resources, altering the delicate balance of the ocean in the process. On the Cautionary ship, Zix-Era received the first reports of the harvest. "Excellent," she purred. "At this rate, we'll strip this world bare within a year, and these humans will be none the wiser." Vexilor approached, his posture indicating concern. "Commander, we've detected increased communications among the humans. Some of them seem to be noticing the changes we're causing." Zix-Era dismissed his concerns with a wave of her appendage. "Let them chatter. By the time they understand what's happening, it will be far too late. Their primitive minds can't possibly comprehend the scale of our operation." But even as she spoke, events were unfolding on Earth that would soon challenge her assumptions. In a small, cluttered apartment in Rio de Janeiro, a young hacker named Luis Goncalves sat hunched over his computer. His eyes widened as he sifted through the data he had just intercepted from a government satellite. "Impossible," he muttered, fingers flying over the keyboard. The numbers didn't lie. Something was in Earth's orbit, something massive that didn't appear on any official space registry. Lewis hesitated for just a moment before sending out a message on an encrypted channel. "To anyone who's listening, we are not alone. And we are not safe." As the Cautionary continued their silent invasion, a handful of humans around the globe began to piece together the truth. In New York, Tokyo, Rio, and beyond, an unlikely alliance was forming. Scientists, soldiers, and citizens united by a growing realization that their world was under threat. But the question remained, how do you fight an enemy you can't see, using technology you don't understand? As night fell over Earth, the Cautionary harvest intensified. In their arrogance, they had underestimated the species they sought to plunder. They were about to learn a costly lesson, one that countless others had learned before them. Never underestimate humanity. The silent invasion begins. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the Earth's surface, the Cautionary invasion entered its second phase. Unbeknownst to the vast majority of humanity, their planet was being systematically stripped of its resources, altered at its very core by an alien force that viewed them as little more than an insignificant obstacle. Commander Zix-Era stood before the holographic display on the bridge of her ship, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the myriad data streams flowing before her. "Expand the harvesting operation," she ordered, her voice a series of clicks and whistles. "Begin Phase 2. Vexilor, her second in command, hesitated before responding. "Commander, our scouts have reported increased activity among the humans. They seem to be noticing things." Zix-Era's antennae twitched in what might have been amusement. "Let them notice. Their primitive minds will create fantastic explanations that have nothing to do with us. Proceed as planned." As the Cautionary intensified their efforts, the effects on Earth became harder to ignore. In the heartland of America, farmers watched in bewilderment as their crops withered overnight. The soil turned to dust beneath their feet. In the Amazon rainforest, entire sections of lush greenery vanished, leaving behind barren earth that defied explanation. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before a panel of grim-faced government officials in Washington, D.C., her usual composure cracking under the weight of the information she had to deliver. "Gentlemen, ladies," she began, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil, "what we're seeing is unprecedented. The environmental changes we've observed over the past week would normally take decades, if not centuries, to occur naturally. Something is accelerating this process, and it's not of terrestrial origin. The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, each official trying to be heard over the others. Accusations of fear-mongering and conspiracy theories flew back and forth until a sharp voice cut through the chaos. "That's enough." Major Jake Harrison stepped forward, his military bearing silencing the room. "Dr. Chen isn't speculating. We have corroborating evidence from multiple sources, including our own satellite data." He nodded to a technician, and a series of images appeared on the screen behind him. They showed strange, shimmer distortions in the atmosphere, barely visible to the naked eye, but clear as day when processed through advanced filters. "These distortions are consistent with some form of cloaking technology," Jake explained. "We believe Earth is under attack by an advanced alien species." The silence that followed was deafening. Meanwhile, in the slums of Rio de Janeiro, Luis Goncalves had gone from lone hacker to the center of a global underground network. His tiny apartment had become a hub of activity, with computers humming day and night as he coordinated with other tech-savvy individuals around the world. "We've got reports coming in from everywhere," Luis murmured, his eyes never leaving his screens. "Unexplained phenomena, missing persons, entire areas going dark. It's all connected." His fingers flew over the keyboard as he compiled the data, creating a global map of the invasion. Patterns emerged, showing the methodical nature of the alien harvesting operation. Across the world, similar scenes were playing out. In Tokyo, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka worked tirelessly in his lab, analyzing soil and water samples from affected areas. In London, investigative journalist Emma Blackwood pieced together eyewitness accounts, building a narrative of the invasion that most still refused to believe. But for every person who began to understand the truth, thousands more remained oblivious or in denial. Governments struggled to maintain order as resources dwindled and unexplained events multiplied. Conspiracy theories ran rampant, ranging from secret government experiments to divine punishment. The Cautionary watched all of this with detached interest. From their vantage point in orbit, the human struggles seemed insignificant, like ants scurrying about after their hill had been kicked. "Fascinating," Vexlor observed, watching feeds from their cloaked observation drones. "Despite the chaos, some of them are starting to organize. They're adaptable." Zixera chittered dismissively. "A futile effort. Increase the harvesting rate. I want this planet stripped before these creatures have a chance to become more than a nuisance." But even as she gave the order, a series of alarms blared across the Cautionary ship. Vexlor rushed to a console, his appendages working frantically to assess the situation. "Commander," he called out, a note of panic in his usually calm voice. "We've lost contact with an entire cluster of harvesting drones in Sector 7. Zixera's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Run a diagnostic. It must be a malfunction." "It's not a malfunction," Vexlor insisted. "The drones are gone, completely offline. And there's something else. We're detecting an energy signature from the surface, similar to the unknown readings we picked up earlier. It's interfering with our systems." For the first time since the invasion began, a flicker of uncertainty passed across Zixera's features. "Show me," she demanded. The holographic display shifted, zooming in on a location in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There, on a tiny, uncharted island, a pulsing energy source blazed like a beacon. "What is that?" Zixera whispered, her earlier confidence evaporating. Back on Earth, on that very island, a team of humans stood before a massive humming device. Dr. Chen, Major Harrison, Luis, Dr. Tanaka, and Emma had come together, pooling their knowledge and resources. "It's working," Samantha breathed, watching as data streamed across a bank of monitors. "The quantum entanglement device is disrupting their cloaking technology. We can see them now." Jake nodded grimly, reaching for a secure communication device. "I'll inform our forces. Now that we can track them, we can fight back." Louis grinned, his fingers already dancing across his keyboard. "I'm broadcasting the specs for the device on all channels. People around the world can start building their own. We're going to light up the sky with these babies. As the quantum devices came online across the globe, the invisibility that had protected the Cautionary began to fail. Their ships, their drones, their entire operation was suddenly exposed. In her ship, Zixera watched in disbelief as humanity began to rally. Ships that had once been invisible were now clear targets for Earth's military forces. Harvesting drones were being disabled or destroyed at an alarming rate. How? She chittered, her composure finally cracking. How could these primitives have developed such technology so quickly? Vexilor, always the voice of reason, offered a somber assessment. We underestimated them, Commander. Their adaptability, their resourcefulness. We never accounted for these factors in our invasion plan. As alarms blared and reports of losses poured in, Zixera faced a harsh reality. The easy conquest she had envisioned was quickly turning into a nightmare. The humans, far from being helpless prey, were proving to be formidable adversaries. Prepare for defensive maneuvers, she ordered, her voice tight with suppressed rage. This is no longer a harvesting operation. We are at war. On Earth, as the truth of the alien invasion became impossible to ignore, humanity began to unite in ways never before seen. Old rivalries were set aside, resources were pooled, and a global resistance effort took shape. The silent invasion had been uncovered, but the real battle was just beginning. As both sides prepared for the conflict ahead, one thing became clear. The Cautionary's gravest error had been in underestimating the species they sought to conquer. Humanity, with its back against the wall, was about to show the galaxy why it should never be underestimated. Humanity's awakening. The world had changed overnight. As the sun rose on a new day, it illuminated a planet transformed by the revelation of an alien presence. The Cautionary, once hidden, now found themselves exposed to the very species they had dismissed as primitive. In every major city across the globe, massive view screens broadcasted a joint message from world leaders. The truth could no longer be concealed. Citizens of Earth, the United Nations Secretary-General began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. We face an unprecedented crisis. Our planet is under attack by an extraterrestrial force known as the Cautionary. They have been secretly harvesting our resources and altering our environment. But humanity will not fall. We will stand united against this threat. As the message played out, detailing the nature of the invasion and the global response plan, reactions varied widely. In some places, panic took hold. Streets clogged with people trying to flee to perceived safe zones. Stores were stripped bare as many prepared for the worst. But in other areas, a different response emerged. People came together, organizing local defense committees, pooling resources, and preparing to face the threat head-on. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the heart of this organized resistance. The hidden island base that had housed the first quantum entanglement device had become a global command center. Scientists, military personnel, and civilian experts from around the world streamed in, all focused on one goal: defending Earth. The quantum network is expanding, Samantha reported to the assembled War Council. We're able to detect and track Cautionary movements with increasing accuracy. But they're adapting, trying to find ways around our detection. Major Jake Harrison nodded grimly. They're resilient, I'll give them that. But so are we. Our forces have already disabled several of their harvesting operations. We're learning more about their technology with each engagement. Louis Goncalves, the young hacker now turned global cyber defense coordinator, chimed in from his workstation. We've managed to intercept some of their communications. Dr. Tanaka is working on decrypting them. If we can understand their language, we might be able to predict their next moves. As the council discussed strategy, alerts suddenly blared throughout the base. Emma Blackwood, who had transitioned from journalist to communications officer, rushed to a console. We're picking up massive energy signatures, she reported, her eyes wide. Multiple Cautionary ships decloaking over major cities: Beijing, Moscow, Washington, London. They're making themselves known. Around the world, people looked up to see massive alien vessels hovering over urban centers. Fear gripped millions as the reality of the invasion hit home. But the Cautionary had miscalculated. Instead of cowing humanity into submission, their show of force had the opposite effect. In Washington, D.C., as a Cautionary ship loomed over the National Mall, something unexpected happened. A group of civilians, armed with hastily constructed quantum disruptors based on Lewis's open-source designs, stood their ground. The devices hummed to life, and suddenly, the ship's cloaking field flickered and failed completely. Similar scenes played out across the globe. The Cautionary, expecting to face a cowed and primitive species, instead found themselves confronted by a united and innovative enemy. On board the Cautionary command ship, Commander Zixera watched in disbelief as reports flooded in. How is this possible? She chittered angrily. These humans should be cowering in fear, not fighting back. Vexlor, her second-in-command, offered a sobering analysis. Commander, we may have critically underestimated their capabilities. Their technology is advancing at an exponential rate. They're reverse engineering our systems faster than we can adapt. Zixera's compound eyes narrowed. Then we must strike harder. Prepare the pulse weapons. If we can't harvest this world, we'll make sure no one else can either. But even as the Cautionary prepared their devastating weapons, humanity's ingenuity continued to surprise them. In labs and workshops around the world, humans worked tirelessly to understand and counter alien technology. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka made a breakthrough in Tokyo, cracking the basics of Cautionary language and technology interface. It's based on quantum principles, he explained over a global video conference. Their entire technology stack relies on manipulating subatomic particles. If we can disrupt these patterns, we can shut down their tech entirely, Samantha finished, her eyes lighting up with realization. The next few days saw a flurry of activity as this knowledge was put into action. Quantum disruptors were modified, and a plan was set in motion. As Cautionary ships prepared to unleash their pulse weapons, humanity struck first. In a coordinated global effort, modified quantum disruptors were activated simultaneously. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Across the Earth, Cautionary ships suddenly lost power, their anti-gravity systems failing. Several crashed into unpopulated areas, while others managed emergency landings. On the ground, harvesting operations ground to a halt as drones and machinery went offline. In the command center, cheers erupted as reports of success poured in. But Jake was quick to temper the celebration. This is just the beginning, he cautioned. We've won a battle, not the war. The Cautionary will adapt, and we need to be ready. Indeed, even as humanity celebrated its first major victory, the Cautionary were regrouping. Commander Zixera, her pride wounded but her resolve strengthened, gathered her top strategists. We have underestimated these humans for the last time, she declared. Prepare for full-scale war. We will show these primitives the true might of the Cautionary Empire. As both sides geared up for the next phase of the conflict, a new dynamic was emerging. The Cautionary, once confident in their superiority, now faced an enemy that was rapidly closing the technological gap. Humanity, united by a common threat, was tapping into a wellspring of innovation and determination that surprised even themselves. Dr. Chen, looking out over the bustling command center, summed it up best. We're not just fighting for our survival, she said, her voice filled with determination. We're fighting for our place in the galaxy, and we will show the Cautionary, and anyone else watching, that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. As night fell over a changed Earth, both humans and Cautionary prepared for what was to come. The invasion had awakened something in humanity, a spirit of unity, innovation, and unyielding resolve. The galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate of Earth and potentially reshape the balance of power in the cosmos. Humanity had awakened to its potential, and there would be no going back. The tables turn. The war for Earth had entered a new phase. No longer were the Cautionary operating in the shadows. Now, the conflict was out in the open, a desperate struggle for survival that encompassed the entire globe. Humanity, once on the brink of unknowing subjugation, had rallied in a way that astonished even its own members. In the skies above major cities, the massive shapes of disabled Cautionary ships hung like dark clouds, a constant reminder of the alien threat. But these very ships had become a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity. Teams of scientists and engineers swarmed over the grounded vessels, reverse engineering alien technology at an unprecedented pace. Dr. Samantha Chen stood in a makeshift lab beneath the shadow of a downed Cautionary cruiser in the Nevada desert. Surrounding her was a motley crew of experts from various fields, all working tirelessly to unlock the secrets of alien tech. "We've made a breakthrough," she announced, holding up a small, pulsing device. "This is a prototype of what we're calling a quantum inverter. It doesn't just disrupt their tech, it turns it against them." Major Jake Harrison, who had been overseeing the military aspect of the operation, leaned in for a closer look. "How does it work?" "It taps into the quantum field their technology uses," Samantha explained, her eyes bright with excitement. "Instead of simply jamming it, we can now hijack their systems. Imagine turning their own ships and weapons against them." As word of this development spread, a new sense of hope began to take hold. Humanity was no longer just defending. They were starting to push back. Meanwhile, in orbit, Commander Zixera faced a crisis. The Cautionary fleet, once seemingly invincible, was now vulnerable. Ships that had managed to avoid the initial quantum disruption were constantly on the move, unable to maintain stable positions for fear of human counterattacks. "We underestimated them," Vexlor said, his usual calm demeanor shaken. "Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented. They're adapting our own technology faster than we can develop countermeasures." Zixera's mandibles clicked in frustration. "Then we must strike hard and fast. Prepare the bioweapon. If we can't have this world, no one will." But even as the Cautionary prepared their devastating attack, humanity's global network was hard at work. In his Rio de Janeiro command center, Luis Goncalves had assembled a team of the world's best hackers and programmers. "We've cracked their communication protocols," Luis announced in a global briefing. "We can intercept and decode their transmissions in real time now. And there's more. We think we can inject our own commands into their network." This revelation changed the dynamics of the war overnight. Suddenly, human forces could anticipate Cautionary movements, countering their strategies before they could be implemented. The first major test of these new capabilities came when the Cautionary attempted to deploy their bioweapon. As their ships moved into position over Earth's atmosphere, ready to release a pathogen that could potentially wipe out all life on the planet, they found themselves facing an unexpected obstacle. Their own defense systems turned against them, shields failing and weapons targeting other Cautionary ships. Confusion reigned in the alien fleet as human-injected commands wreaked havoc on their carefully planned operation. On the ground, a coalition of Earth's militaries stood ready, armed with quantum inverters and guided by real-time intelligence from Luis's team. They launched a coordinated attack. Hijacked Cautionary drones turned against their masters, while human fighters, now equipped with reversed-engineered alien tech, engaged in dogfights with the remaining enemy ships. The battle raged across the globe and in the skies above. In New York, Tokyo, Lagos, and countless other cities, people watched in awe as humanity fought back against the alien invaders, their own ingenuity and determination their greatest weapons. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, working from a fortified lab in Mount Fuji, made another crucial breakthrough. "We've decoded their biological database," he reported. "We can create a countermeasure to their bioweapon." This information was rapidly disseminated across the globe. In a matter of days, a network of labs had produced enough of the countermeasure to protect major population centers. The Cautionary's trump card had been neutralized before it could be played. As the tide of battle turned, Commander Zixera found herself facing a reality she had never imagined possible. How? She demanded, watching as another of her ships fell to Earth's defenses. How have these primitives done this? Vexilor, always the voice of reason, offered a somber assessment. We made a fundamental error, Commander. We judged them by their level of technology, not by their potential. Their adaptability, their creativity. We have no equivalent. The realization dawned on Zixera that this was no longer a war of conquest. It had become a desperate fight for survival, not for humanity, but for the Cautionary themselves. Back on Earth, as the human counteroffensive gained momentum, Dr. Chen and her team worked on the next phase of their plan. We're not just going to drive them off, she declared in a global address. We're going to follow them. The quantum inverters can be modified to work as faster than light drives. We'll use their own tech to take the fight to their home systems. This announcement sent shockwaves through both human and Cautionary ranks. Humanity, a species that had been on the verge of conquest just weeks ago, was now preparing to take its first steps into the galactic stage as a major power. As the last Cautionary ships retreated from Earth's orbit, pursued by newly christened human vessels, the message was clear. Humanity would not only survive this invasion, but emerge stronger, united, and ready to claim its place among the stars. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the unthinkable happened. The Cautionary, a spacefaring empire that had subjugated countless worlds, were being driven back by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The balance of power was shifting, and at the center of it all was a lesson being learned by every spacefaring race watching the conflict unfold. Never underestimate humanity, for in their darkest hour, facing an enemy of unimaginable technological superiority, they had not only survived, they had thrived, adapted, and overcome. The age of human isolation was over. The galaxy would never be the same again. Triumph of the human spirit. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as humanity took its first steps into the galactic community. The Cautionary invasion, meant to subjugate Earth, had instead catapulted human civilization into a new era of technological advancement and unity. As the last of the alien ships fled Earth's orbit, pursued by the newly christened human defense fleet, the people of Earth found themselves at a crossroads of cosmic proportions. Dr. Samantha Chen stood on the bridge of the HFY Resilience, Earth's first faster-than-light capable ship. Built using reverse-engineered Cautionary technology and human innovation, it represented the pinnacle of humanity's achievement. Beside her, Major Jake Harrison, now Admiral of the Fleet, gazed out at the star-studded expanse before them. "I never thought I'd see this day," Jake mused, his voice filled with awe. "We're about to leave our solar system to take the fight to the Cautionary." Samantha nodded, her expression a mix of determination and wonder. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for our place in the galaxy." As the fleet prepared for its first jump, back on Earth, the global network hummed with activity. Louis Goncalves, now heading the newly formed Interstellar Communication Division, worked tirelessly to maintain contact with the fleet and monitor galactic communications. "We're picking up chatter from multiple alien civilizations," Louis reported in a global broadcast. "The news of our victory over the Cautionary has spread. The galaxy is watching us, waiting to see what we'll do next." The implications were staggering. Humanity, once isolated and unaware of galactic politics, was now thrust onto the cosmic stage. Their defeat of the Cautionary had sent shockwaves through established power structures, and the response was mixed. Some civilizations viewed the emerging human race with fear, others with curiosity, and some with a keen interest in forming alliances. As the human defense fleet pushed deeper into space, they encountered pockets of Cautionary resistance. Each battle served as a testament to human adaptability and ingenuity. The quantum inverters, now fully integrated into human ships, allowed them to turn Cautionary technology against itself, leading to swift victories. But it wasn't just military might that defined humanity's emergence onto the galactic scene. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, leading a team of xenobiologists, made groundbreaking discoveries about the nature of life in the universe. His research into the Cautionary bioweapon had led to advancements in medicine that promised to revolutionize healthcare across species boundaries. "We're not just warriors," Hiroshi explained in a transmission to Earth. "We're explorers, scientists, diplomats. Our strength lies in our diversity and our ability to learn and adapt." This philosophy was put to the test when the fleet finally reached the outskirts of Cautionary space. Instead of finding a unified empire ready for a final battle, they discovered a civilization in turmoil. The news of their defeat at Earth had sparked internal conflicts, with many Cautionary questioning the aggressive policies that had led them to this point. Commander Zixera, once the architect of the Earth invasion, now found herself facing a tribunal of her own people. As she stood before the Cautionary High Council, an unexpected message arrived from the humans. Admiral Harrison's voice echoed through the Cautionary communication systems. "We do not seek the destruction of your civilization. We came to ensure the safety of our own. We offer a chance for peace, for cooperation. Let this be the end of conflict and the beginning of understanding between our peoples." The offer sent shockwaves through Cautionary society. Many had expected annihilation, believing the humans would be as ruthless as they had been. Instead, they were faced with an opportunity for redemption, for a new way forward. As negotiations began, monitored by representatives from other galactic civilizations, humanity's unique approach became clear. They pushed for reparations, yes, but also for cultural exchange, scientific cooperation, and the establishment of a new galactic order based on mutual respect and understanding. Emma Blackwood, now Earth's chief diplomat, addressed the first-ever meeting of the Galactic Concord, a new organization born from the ashes of the Earth-Cautionary War. "We stand here not as conquerors, but as partners," she declared. "Earth has taken its place among the stars not to dominate, but to cooperate, to learn, and to grow. We extend a hand of friendship to all who would join us in building a better future for all sentient beings." The impact of humanity's approach resonated across the galaxy. Civilizations that had long operated on principles of conquest and subjugation found themselves reevaluating their methods. The human model of rapid adaptation, unity in diversity, and ethical advancement became a subject of study and admiration. As the first decade of Earth's galactic emergence drew to a close, the changes were profound. The Cautionary, under new leadership, had become valuable allies, their technology and humanity's innovation combining to solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for eons. Earth had become a hub of interstellar diplomacy and scientific research, with aliens from thousands of worlds walking the streets of its cities. Dr. Samantha Chen, addressing a class of human and alien students at the newly established Galactic University in New Delhi, summed up the journey. "The greatest threat we faced became our greatest opportunity. We didn't just save our world, we found our place in the cosmos. Remember this lesson. In our darkest hours lie the seeds of our greatest triumphs. Never underestimate the power of unity, the strength of diversity, and the indomitable spirit of those who dare to reach for the stars." As night fell on Earth, its cities now gleaming with a mix of terrestrial and alien architecture, the planet stood as a beacon of hope and progress. The sky above, once a mystery, now represented infinite possibilities. Humanity had not only survived its trial by fire, but had emerged as a force for positive change in the galaxy. The message was clear to all who looked upon the blue planet and its burgeoning interstellar civilization. Never underestimate humanity, for in them lies the potential to turn adversity into advancement, conflict into cooperation, and the unknown into the greatest of opportunities. The story of Earth's rise was far from over. It was, in many ways, just beginning. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity's light would shine bright among the stars for eons to come.